Hello, History 120 students. I'm David Stone. I am your instructor for the semester. And just for a point of reference, I'm making the recording on January 28th, 2023. It's actually take two. I made one Thursday evening 2 nights ago, and for some reason it disappeared, which is okay. It got cut short, so I was going to have to add to it, and didn't get it posted. But at this point, I'm making this primarily for my online late start class, spring of 23, but just using that point of reference because I'm using the video to update my instructor biography page, and that is way outdated. And so instead of writing something up, I thought I would make a video in particular for online students so they could see that there is an actual person on the other side of the screen and see who I am. Like I said, often I reuse this stuff for a few semesters, and so some of this may not pertain quite as much on down the road, but largely this is just to introduce myself and let you know who I am, and to get to know me. I really enjoy teaching online classes a great deal, more than I ever thought I would. One of the things that that is something that I'm a bit disappointed is that I just don't get to meet students personally one-on-one. And also a note, the dog is in here with me, so you might hear him in the chair behind me or see it moving. The family is around. When I recorded the other night, everybody's in bed, so there's a chance a cameo may appear. But again, just so you get to know me, and like I said, I like online classes a lot. I think they offer a lot of opportunities. I just miss the chance to get to know students personally face-to-face, but I do get to know you through other methods. So I think it's really useful for you to know who your instructor is and to, like I said, know there's a person on the other side of the screen and know that there's a human being there. So just a bit so you can get to know me. As I said, making this the spring of 23 or January 23, and I retired at the end of last school year, the 2021-22 school year, from Springfield Public Schools after 27 and a half years working with the district, primarily as a social studies teacher. For 16 years, I taught at Central High School. My first 2 years, I was a special education teacher, and then after that, I moved into social studies, and that's what I've been teaching ever since. I'm also a Central High School graduate, as my mother was, and she worked in the cafeteria there for 18 years, so some strong connections there. Really enjoyed my time teaching there. Wasn't looking to leave, but a neat opportunity came along in the middle college program, and as I began to explore that, I realized that just provided something new and exciting, and so I moved to the middle college program, which is housed and largely run by OTC, but also by SPS. And I spent the last 11 years teaching there, and it was a great experience. I love the program. I love OTC, and that's how I got connected with OTC, and it's a great institution. I think it offers a lot for students. So I'm very pro-OTC and very pro-technical community college. I think it's a great way for people to get education without having to sink as much money in and get into a technical field or get a start on a 4-year degree. So I'm a huge advocate for that. As I said, middle college is the way I got connected to OTC, and I started teaching some adjunct classes. My first few years, I taught a couple of classes during the summer. Enjoyed that, but ended up with no summer, so I discontinued that. And then I started teaching online about 7 years ago, and as I said, wasn't sure about that, but I've enjoyed that a great deal. One of the things I like about teaching online is I've heard it said that as a teacher, you can either be the guide from the side or the sage on the stage. And I feel like as an online teacher, you have to be much more the sage on the stage. And I feel like I am more of a facilitator of your learning. And so I feel like it gauges you more in the learning process. It's easier to do that with online learning. So I really enjoy that. Now that I'm retired, I teach online and seated classes. The current semester, I have one seated class and one online class at OTC. Last semester, the fall semester, I had 2 seated classes and an online, and a seated class at Missouri State. This semester, I am working for Missouri State as a student teacher supervisor. I'm really looking forward to that. I've worked with pre-service teachers in the class, and it's always a good experience, so I'm excited about that. My wife, Krista, is also a career educator. She is an ESL teacher in Nixa, has been there for 4 years now. She's done a wide variety of things in teaching, education. She started her career in Marshfield as a science, then social studies teacher in 6th grade. And then she stepped out of full-time teaching for a while after our boys were born. And during that time, worked at OTC as a reading specialist in a program that doesn't exist anymore. And again, I enjoyed her experience. After that, she began the process of getting back in the classroom, got a master's degree in ESL from Western Governors University, worked as a paraprofessional in the ESL program in Willard, and as I said, the last several years has been working in Nixa. We're both really big social studies fanatics, and I may be a curse for our boys because a lot of what we do centers around our interest in that. But they take it, and I think they're interested in well. We do have 2 sons, Jack, our oldest, and Jimmy. Both attend school in Willard. Jack is in the middle school, and Jimmy's in intermediate. Great kids, very proud of them. They take a lot of our time, and that's okay. So when I'm not on top of grading or maybe not responding as quickly, good chance I'm doing something with them. And what do I do outside of teaching? I enjoy spending time with my family, the boys and Krista, and also her parents and my family. I do have an aging father who is dealing with some significant health concerns now, so shouldn't affect this class a whole lot because it's online. But if I'm a bit late or I'm slow in communication, that's a possibility as well. Also involved in church. We've kind of been a transition point in our lives. For many years we've attended and been members at First Christian Ash Grove. More recently we've been attending South Street Christian, but still connected with the church in Ash Grove as well. So kind of connected in 2 places. I love to read, in particular history, obviously, and anything related to history. I like to play golf. For many years had kind of not played so much, but the last year or so kind of getting back into that with retirement, and that's something I'm taking up and excited about again. I like to walk. I just like to walk just to walk. Some people find that strange. It's a good way to stay in shape, but it's just a good way to clear my mind and find myself sometimes, so I enjoy just walking. And I enjoy just being outside, working outside, being in the yard work. I'm not a landscape professional by any means, but enjoy that. And I enjoy following sports, especially a Cardinals fan, Missouri State fan. I like to watch basketball, I like to watch golf, other sports. And our youngest son, Jimmy, is very involved in sports, in particular baseball and basketball. So that takes a lot of our time, which we love. So those are some of the things I enjoy doing. There's a lot of other things outside of class, but just so you know who I am. I view teaching education as my vocation. It's not just a career. It's part of my life. It is a big part of who I am. It is not strictly who I am. That's a longer discussion. But I really value education and believe in the significance, the importance, the impact that it has on people's lives. One of the things, if we were to see a class, I'd probably talk more about, and I bring up from time to time, is that it is more than just about getting a good job, even though that is a key element. I believe it's about who you are and finding who you are, and I believe the more education that you get, the greater control of your life that you have, because it gives you the thinking skills, the problem-solving skills, to allow you to make good decisions and to make those decisions on your own, based on your own thinking. And so I believe it provides you independence, and it opens doors in many ways, and it develops who you are and helps you to find who you are. And obviously I have a high value on the value of education history, and one of the things that somewhat frustrates me at times is that I feel that maybe history, social sciences, social studies are given short shrift. I think, and I'm not anti-science, math, engineering, STEM types of things, technology. But we've had a great emphasis of those because there is a demand in careers, and I support that thoroughly. But I believe sometimes we feel like that history, social sciences, other humanities may not have practical values, and I would argue with that. And I would argue again that history is more, or education is more than just getting a good education. It's gaining control of your life and thinking, problem solving, and I believe history is critical to that. I realize that most of you are not on the path to a history degree. If anybody in the class is on the path for a history degree, and that's okay. If somebody in here is on that path, that's awesome. But I realize that's not my end goal, but I believe there's a value for everybody in understanding history. It goes beyond just knowledge, but there are skills involved. And I believe those skills are very important in decision making, problem solving. But I also believe it's a reason history is so important is it's about learning about ourselves as individuals and also as a society and who we are in the world that we live in and understanding how we got to where we are. I think it helps us to understand how we as individuals have an influence. A lot of times history has been focused on what is referred to as great man history, and there's a reason for that. But I think one of the things is that even looking at the great men, they're ordinary people. Two of my favorite historical characters, Abraham Lincoln and Harry Truman. And one of the things that I admire about them is that they always stayed connected to the fact that they were ordinary human beings, just like everybody else. And they had come from humble, ordinary origins, and they stayed grounded in that. And so even those people that we see as great are ordinary people, and ordinary people can have huge influences. And much of history is influenced by the decisions and actions of ordinary people. And I think that by reading and studying history, you come to learn that we all have an influence on what's going on in our world and in the future, and that it's important to think about that in the actions that we take. History is a good case book. I don't necessarily like the idea that history repeats itself because I think it tricks people into thinking that it's pre-formulated, and that's not the case. But I like to think of it as a case book where we can look and see similar actions and events in the past and think about how they apply to the world that we live in today. And so, obviously, I'm very biased in that. I feel that some of the issues that we face today are the result of our shortcomings in history and social studies education and the lack of understanding that people have in those fields. And so I really embrace the value of it. So again, I'm not wanting to make you little historians, but I just want you to have those foundations. And for me, one of the most significant indicators of success in a class is not necessarily grades or certain types of performance, but is whether or not the students leave the class with a desire to know more, to learn more. And that's my goal, is that hopefully when you guys finish this class, that you want to know even more, and that you have questions that you want answered, and that you have a greater interest in history, and that you want to go on and learn more. And there's lots of ways to do that. You can obviously take other classes, but there's many other ways. And so that's my end goal, is that I create an interest in you, and that you realize that what you learned in this class is just scratching the surface, and that there's so much more to learn, and that you'll keep asking questions and pursuing the answers for those. So that's a little bit of my kind of, I guess, philosophy of history, social studies education. But I'm looking forward to a fun semester, a great semester, getting to know everybody better. If you ever have questions, best way is to email me or Canvas message me. That'll come to my email. But I'm here to support you. I'm here to work with you. And I want everybody to be successful, and I'm going to do whatever I can to that. So again, looking forward to a great semester and getting to know everybody better. And so I will be communicating more through announcements, and hopefully this semester, last semester, I didn't do so much. And this is a longer announcement. I try to keep them briefer. But hopefully I'll be making a few more videos to jump in and communicate through the semester. So I'll be seeing and communicating as we move on. Again, looking forward to a great semester. Welcome to class.